Hey guys, Greenbird here. I hope everyone is having a happy and a safe New Year's Eve. Well, by now it's New Year's Day, so I hope everybody is home, safe, and sleeping. I decided I would stay up a little bit and do a little bit of flint napping. I have a piece of Flint Ridge. Interesting piece. I've had this for a little while. Looks like it gave me some troubles last time with some steps and some hinges. I apologize in advance if I end up having to put music or something over this. I'm listening to a podcast in the back, and I'm not sure if YouTube is going to give me a copyright strike for that or not. But I also redid my indirect tool. So I had it blew out. This is a whole new dowel, but the other one just you can probably see it in my last videos, but it just got so bad, it just kept splintering and everything. And one thing that I did this time is because I was going to put the copper rod all the way as deep in as I could and just have a little bit sticking out, but I don't really have any way of securing that other than these clamps. And the problem that I was running into is that I wasn't hitting the tool close enough to the tip of the copper, so I actually went the other direction and left a bunch of the copper out of here. I know it's probably going to bend, you know, after a certain amount of use, but until I can get a workaround, this is just what I'm going to try for now.
There's no evidence that humans hunted predators. There is evidence that they hunted woolly mammoths, but it's a very sparse. I mean, you have no more than a dozen sites that show association between human hunting and mammoths. And a lot of those, like the Lubbock Lake site, is now being questioned. What was previously interpreted as being butchering marks on the mammoth remains there are now being reinterpreted as possibly natural marks on the mammoth bones. But it's a big stretch to go from, okay, we've got a dozen sites where we have mammoth remains, and along with those mammoth remains, we find a few Clovis spear points. In 2 or 3 cases, we actually find, or they have found, spear points.
Evidence of earlier human presence.
That's right.
You're trying to quibble it.
Well, not quibble.
Well, you're quibbling it. You're quibbling it.
And
you've got every right to challenge it.
What are you saying very specifically that's opposing what he just said?
The reason archaeologists don't accept...
Not my problem.
Okay, not my problem either.
You said your problem.
You were saying that there's no evidence.
You're here opposing this, and you're saying there's no evidence. You haven't even read the fucking article.
Okay, I'm not opposing anything. I'm saying
You certainly are.
this is the reason why scientists accept these dates here, because there's lots and lots of evidence for
That is
10,000,
scientists.
11,000, 12,000.
That is
Then
scientists.
you find one person
So,
that says
it looks
24,000.
nice.
Another one, like 2 weeks ago.
But there's a crack
This is very
And then another
disappointing.
right there.
Arguing this without really doing any research.
And then
I have a bad feeling about this. You can see it on both sides too.
Challenges mainstream thinking.
Well, let's just see what happens.
In the month of March, Jack sank Mars. It was a brutal experience. Something that sank Mars once likened to the Spanish Inquisition. The conference's audiences paid little heed to his presentation, giving short shrift to the evidence, etc., etc., etc. The result was all the same. When he proposed that Bluefish Caves was 24,000 years old, it was not accepted.
Quoting these articles where these scientists were talking about the data that shows that you can ship butcher horses 24,000 years ago. You're disputing it just because you don't know that.
I'm saying that has to be confirmed. That has to be clear.
But why aren't they against it?
I'm not arguing
You
against it.
certainly were.
No, I'm just saying that this
Am I right? I feel you were arguing against it and saying that's not the case. I don't know.
There we go.
Correct. You seem to be further spread out. Put your reputation on the line and say you
I'm
advocate
not going to
for
put I'm just saying the latest evidence that overwhelmingly shows across Siberia, Great, North America, 11, 12, 13.
you know, 3D stuff. It is.
Alright, well I better get to thinning because it needs to be thinned. So here's a little biface. I don't know if I'll finish that or if I'll just save it for later. Maybe I'll try my tool. Ooh. It took off a big flake. I have to be careful with this. Get used to it. this tool looks great. Much better. Actually, I have to be careful with it. Check it out on that one. Stuck there. I'm going to grind this down, and I'm just going to use this as a preform. It's pretty ugly, pretty down and dirty, but it's still thick enough to where all of that could clean off. I mean, I could just do it now because I'm going to use it to practice my indirect percussion anyway, but I don't know. I'll practice maybe more of that Rainy Buttes or something, you know, a little bit less difficult to come by work than this. I'm really shocked that that didn't break. Almost positive that's a crack. Right there. See that white line? And then you can see it on the other side too, right there. You can even see it in the camera. Yeah. So there's lots of steps and stacks on this, but still plenty of time to clean it up. Yeah, that works. That cleans it up. A little bit too good. I don't want those overshot flakes, I don't think. Checking down on that one.
that at one time, and like Graham said, you know, it has multiple objects still within it.
Comet Enki is the best known.
Comet Enki is
that's
the
a
best
fragment. That's a fragment of the original giant
of the
comet.
original giant comet that they estimate might have been, based upon the amount of material still remnant in the zodiacal light cloud, that perhaps it was somewhere around 60 miles or 100 kilometers.
Spike a huge increase in global temperatures, and you have meltwater pulse 1b. You have a lot of water going into the ocean at that time. So both ends of the Younger Dryas are cataclysmic, and it's at the recent end of the Younger Dryas, 11,600 years ago, that we see Göbekli Tepe mysteriously popping up. And I know that you're a staunch opponent of Atlantis and that you believe Plato made Atlantis up in order to make a political point, and you may be right, but the date that Plato puts on the submergence of Atlantis is 11,600 years ago, 9,000 years before the time of Solon, which happens to coincide with meltwater pulse 1b and the end of the Younger Dryas, which I would have thought would cause you to rethink your position on Plato just a little.
Well, it's interesting. I'm open to the idea. I tend to read myths in the same way your guest, George Peterson does. So, it's a story that's delivered to the moral value of it. It's a commentary on our own culture, our society. It's a literary way of delivering a message to people. That's how I tend to read.
All right. So this is what I got out of that piece of Flint Ridge. It's a little bit crunchy on this side, but I still have time to fix it, clean it up a little bit. But this is really thin preform. I'm going to stop because my camera's about to die. But I'll add this to my preforms, and then I'll fix this another time. But I'm really impressed with how that pressure flaker, that indirect percussion tool ended up working out. Alright guys, Happy New Year's.